break the bias.
To me, break the bias means to be empowered, take action, and transform gender inequality.
Is to acknowledge the bias within you. And once you've done that, we need to take a conscious effort to ensure that our actions do not reflect bias.
It means looking at a person or an issue with an objective view, minimizing involvement of emotions, gender, cultural, and other aspects.
It is to make work better. There, we can be accepted and respected as we are.
Knowing who I really am.
First, on the gender equality and neutrality, this applies to all genders beyond the traditional binary classification. Second, on the inclusivity and diversity, where everyone is free to be their authentic self. Lastly, the eradication on the discrimination and stereotyping of all forms. In a male-dominated field such as manufacturing and engineering, feminine voice tends to get drawn out and overlooked. So we have to work harder to prove ourselves.
Well, some of the bias that I observe in the society is people say that woman is a bad driver, man is a better driver. Some people say that women do not need equal pay because they are supported by their husband. I think it's also two ways. The gender bias could be targeted at men as well.
In my initial years, I worked on a lot of categories, including alcoholic beverages. But in the later years, I was not given an opportunity to work on alcoholic beverages because I was a woman.
My father was a traditional Japanese man, meaning that he wanted a woman to go along with him unquestioningly. And my mother was accepting that. So that became my stereotype of women in my childhood. But starting to live my own life, I felt uncomfortable with that and began to ask myself who I wanted to be.
During my first pregnancy, I requested for a female gynae. However, during my delivery, a male gynae examined me since I was admitted to hospital at midnight. He did a thorough and professional examination. Later on, I took an opportunity to shed my stereotype with him. So he said that this is not the first time he heard this and this will not be the last time. And he said that my sharing and encouragement will definitely keep him going.
Discomfort.
Exclusion.
Offended.
Frustrated.
Saddened.
Embarrassed.
Keep an open and positive mindset. Engage in discussion with our colleagues to share our views and to iron out differences.
When faced with a work bias, it is important that we immediately engage in a discussion with the concerned person and convey to him how his actions or words has reflected bias.
Allow time for others to understand and know you and vice versa.
I stand firm, but will think of a peaceful solution for both. Because when someone feels that they're offended, it will make things harder to solve. I'll also seek some advice from who I rely on to stay strong too.
Communication is important. When confident, talk to the person involved assertively to tell him how we feel about the workplace bias.
As person action might stem from an unconscious bias, I much prefer to give that person the benefit of doubt and approach conversation with an intention to clarify, to educate, rather than to accuse.
I will share my experience a few years back in my previous company. My client company was very conservative and women working there were only assistant or supportive positions. I was the first woman with whom they had to work at the same level. One day, my boss told me that they complained about me. They had a very difficulty to work with me because I didn't speak at the same language with them, and also my attitudes are arrogant. He shared his view that maybe because I'm a woman and they have no experience working with a woman. After hearing their negative feedback, I had very difficult time. I no longer felt comfortable working with them, and I felt very intimidated. My performance got worse. The project working with them didn't go well, and even I considered leaving the company. However, rather than leaving the company, I thought differently and gave up victimizing myself. Later, they no longer complained about me to my boss and accepted me as their partner to work with and see my strengths rather than weakness.
Speak up against bias, be it towards yourself or towards others.
Breaking the bias isn't a one-shot deal. You may have to challenge several times, but feeling that you're alone makes you weak. So, find a role model, or best to have a strong supporter of your own who would inspire you.
Work with a friend or a colleague who can point out your biases, conscious or unconscious.
If we know people better, we can break the bias against them and look them as they are. Bias comes from limited knowledge and lack of understanding about people.
Embrace and respect, positive mindset, stay objective, and communicate.
Be open-minded, positively engage people from different backgrounds, where everyone brings different skill set.
And also to develop positive action to encourage the full participation of women into the society.